Hi guys, welcome to your bonus love reading for the Venus-Jupiter trine that's happening in September near to the Virgo new moon. If you do catch this reading after that, don't worry. As long as it resonates with you, take it as your reading. So basically I've got three piles for you here today. Pile one is it's kind of covered by the chrysocolla / cuprite. So this stone is supposed to be, it's associated with Venus, and it's supposed to be very good for business, for abundance, and also for very loving goddess energy. So soft, peaceful, compassionate kind of energy. And then we've got pile two, which is covered with the beautiful ocean jasper. I don't know if you can see that. It's one of my favorite stones, actually. I don't know if that's going to come into focus. But anyway, so ocean jasper. And then the final pile is a lovely raw jasper. So take a few minutes to make your selection, and when you feel ready, just go to the description box below for timestamps, and that will direct you to your reading. Anyway, I'll see you in a minute. Hi everyone, welcome to those of you who picked pile number one with the beautiful piece of chrysocolla and cuprite. So we're going to get into a reading. I have picked some oracle cards to start with, just to kind of get a sense of the energies of both parties, and that can kind of help you to make up your mind as to whether this reading is for you or not. And then we're going to follow that up with some tarot and some advice from the Universe Has Your Back deck, and we're also going to pull some name tiles. So lots to look forward to. Let's get into your reading. So I'm going to, let's see, we've got, yes, so we've got two Oracle of the Element cards for each party, and then we've also got two, I decided to pick some astrology cards from the Arcana of Astrology deck, just for a change, you know, because that can really help me to sort of tune into the energy of a particular person. So I'm going to start with the person on the left, and then we'll move over to the person on the right. Generally speaking, I read as if you were the person on the left, but you know, if you identify more with the person on the right, then by all means, you know, swap over. Don't let me kind of, you know, hold you back. Yeah. But anyway, let's see what's going on with the person on the left. I'm also really excited that I finally ordered Kim Kranz's, I think it's her the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, which I have been coveting for some time. So I'm really excited to be using those cards for the first time. Okay, that's interesting. Chiron, interesting. Okay, so let's start with the person on the left. So we start with the crocodile spirit, which is all about being patient and kind of waiting, and the power that comes from being in that space. So in a way, you know, this is water energy. It's the water element. So we are talking about divine feminine energy, but it's quite powerful energy in the sense that, you know, if you think about the crocodile, it's a creature that's quite primordial. It's most of the time it's quite solitary, but it's also very strategic. It doesn't go chasing after its prey. It tends to wait until something kind of comes along and then kind of pounces when the time is right. So very strong sort of feminine energy of attracting rather than kind of pursuing, I feel. And we can see the power here with the two geomancy cards. So we've got Rubaeus first of all, which I think ties in nicely with this crocodile energy, this kind of quite deep and intuitive water kind of vibe here with Scorpio. So this is Mars in Scorpio. Rubaeus, which is all about passion, and then paired with Acquisitio, which is really expansive, you know, lovely Jupiter energy, which is obviously what we've got with that Venus-Jupiter trine. I do really sense that there's a lot of power in actually having the patience to almost withdraws strategically and waits, perhaps for an approach from the kind of opposite party, or simply to wait for the right time to sort of feel that intuitively in your waters that now is kind of the right time to proceed. And it's interesting, given all this emphasis on timing, that we've got two lunar cards here. So we've got the solar eclipse, which is for me is kind of a supercharged new moon. These occur every 6 months, so it could be that 6 months, the 6 month sort of period is important in this particular connection. And we've also got the waxing gibbous moon. So this follows on essentially from a new moon. You know, we start with a crescent and then the moon gradually increases in size. So I think it's talking about the need for that the person on the left is very tuned into particularly the lunar cycles. This is for me a very much associated with a water sign. So we're definitely talking about sort of Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, but I'm feeling a lot of Scorpio coming from this reading. So this person is happy to bide their time and to wait for the right kind of moment. They have got a lot of deep feelings. Sometimes I do feel that they can potentially with Rebbe's kind of hold grudges or harbor resentments sometimes. But generally speaking, they are very passionate, but they're also quite they've got good intentions, I feel, with Acquisitio here, because as I say, Acquisitio is all about gain. But equally I feel quite a strategic energy here. So this is someone who is patient but potentially a little bit stubborn, who's also very strategic, and is sort of somebody who's not really a chaser. This is definitely somebody who likes to be chased, if you like. And then over on the right we've got the oyster. Again, we've got water sort of energy here, so this is a very strongly kind of water-based reading. So a lot here about emotions and as I say, the signs of Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. Now with the oyster, the oyster is really interesting because the outer shell is not really an indication of that beautiful pearl that you get on the inside, and that the mother of pearl on the inside of the shell. So I think with this person, appearances are deceptive. Perhaps they are a little bit more introverted, and you need to kind of get to know them first before they will sort of open up and reveal their kind of inner beauty. This is also somebody who can be a little bit secretive, so I'm kind of getting a Cancer vibe from this particular card. This person can also be a little bit shy, I feel, and can kind of clam up if they don't feel comfortable or if they don't feel safe. So I think it's important that whoever is kind of with them understands the need to sort of make them feel emotionally safe. And I think this is emphasized by the card that we got here for Chiron, which, as we know, is all about the wound. And very often this is a wound sustained in childhood, often for me around the time of puberty. So it could be that there's some kind of core wound that makes this person very sensitive and shy, and sometimes reluctant to open up and sort of reveal how they truly feel. But we do have fifth house energy here, which I think is emphasized nicely by Laetitia. So this is much more kind of open, expansive, upbeat energy. The fifth house has to do with creativity, with children, with holidays, pleasure, romance, sex, and kind of new relationships. So I think it's generally speaking associated quite strongly with the planet Venus. And Laetitia here for me is also very really upbeat energy. It's Jupiter in Pisces, and it's all about enthusiasm, positive feelings. So a lot of happiness, joy, really expansive energy that I do feel kind of gels quite well with the fifth house. So it could be that this person has important fifth house placements in their chart, or that it could indicate that the person on the right is kind of ready for a new adventure in love or romance, because we do have Caput Draconis here, which is for me all about new karmic cycles. So an interesting overlap with solar eclipse here. Very often, I associate Capricornus with both new moons and with solar eclipses. So, as I say, those particular solar lunar events may be important for this particular couple. But I do feel that, combining fifth house with Capricornus means that we are talking about possibly two people who have been single for a while and who are now kind of ready to, to sort of meet somebody new. So, or that they are ready to press the reset button in a connection that perhaps didn't work out the first time, and maybe some kind of karmic cycles needed to reset before these two could come together. So yes, quite interesting energy. I think let's get into the tarot now and see what we can find out in terms of what's kind of due to happen now. So I'm going to start with the, where is it? Oh, here. The Illuminated playing cards. My favorite deck because of the the solar, the lunar and solar cards. So I'm going to use the lunar deck for the person on the left and the solar deck for the person on the right. And I'm going to do a slightly different spread to the one that I usually do. It's one that I use myself quite a lot, actually. It's a sort of a mini Celtic cross, and then I like to then get a little snapshot of person on the left, person on the right, and then the connecting energy. So let's see what comes out. So this is a great time, sort of astrologically speaking, this particular 2-week cycle with some really lovely energy with that Venus-Jupiter trine on the 6th, and then the very next day we've got the new moon, which happens to make a trine to Uranus, and of course this can bring in surprise or kind of unexpected developments that are quite positive in nature. So it could be that you kind of run into somebody that you kind of unexpectedly, maybe on your way to work or the grocery store or getting your lunch, something like that, and one of those chance meetings that turns out to be quite fateful. So yeah, interesting. Three for luck. Okay, so okay, let's put this out of the way. All right, let's quickly do the person on the right. I've also ordered the Hermit Tarot from one of the, she's also one of she's a reader on YouTube, and I quite like her cards because they kind of give some nice messages and things, which we will do towards the end of the reading, just to kind of get a sense of how each person is feeling, what they want, etc., etc. So that should be quite fun. Okay, and I can see that these aren't fitting on the screen, so I'm just going to move them up quickly. Okay. Can you see that? Let's move that up slightly. Hate fiddling, but we do want to make sure that we can see everything. Okay, so was getting a strong green vibe today, which I think is probably Venus. So you can see I've got a lot of plants and things here. We're in Virgo season at the moment, so it's very, for me, I associate that a lot with like plants and herbs and things. So yes, okay. So let's start with that, and then, as I say, we will get some more information with the Hermit Tarot. I'm just wondering if there's anything else. Maybe we should just get some connecting energy with the Elemental Oracle. So let's just get one card for the connecting energy. Okay. Right, so we've got one card here for the connecting energy. So let's find out what's going on. And I think I'm just going to turn all the cards over so that we don't waste time. Oh wow, so we've got the moon again, the sort of waxing moon, the dark of the moon. This is, yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so let's start over here with the person on the left. So yeah, I mean, I feel that this person is coming out of some kind of period, possibly of feeling a little bit lost, a bit confused, maybe a little bit depressed. You know, with the moon and the Eight of Cups here, you know, in the playing card system, these cards kind of double up. I feel like this person has had some disappointments in love, and they've had to perhaps walk away from some difficult cycles in their life, or some difficult situations that have been a little bit disappointing. So things haven't really kind of panned out for this person in the recent past, and that may be why they are in that much more kind of receptive energy, almost waiting for a cycle to end so that they can kind of start fresh. And I feel that quite strongly with the Seven of Swords here, which is also the Chariot in reverse. So I kind of feel as though this person is reluctant to set off in a new direction, in sort of impulsively. They're kind of waiting for a sign or a signal that, you know, all is kind of good to go. Sevens for me are very much about cycle change. So I do kind of feel as though this person is on the cusp of a new start, but it may be that they're waiting for that solar eclipse or new moon, you know, to kind of give them the green light. They may also be waiting for an approach from somebody else, possibly the person on the right, because we've got the Knight of Swords here, which is one of the fastest moving knights in the deck, and this is very much about taking action in terms of communicating or making an approach of some kind. So it may be that you know, if we've got the Six of Swords in the past with the Eight of Cups, that this person, you know, whatever situation kind of occurred in the past is now well and truly over, and they do feel as though they're moving forward in life, away from this kind of stormy water that we see on the right, towards much more calm waters, and towards you know, kind of disembarking for a new future. Here you can see there's a sort of a boardwalk with the sun. So this person is feeling quite hopeful about the future, and they do seem to be traveling quite light with their little kind of pack here. It reminds me a little bit of the Fool, actually. But I think that they're kind of waiting for, as I say, for the right time, or for the green light, or for this person to make an approach. They've also, I feel, done a lot to work on their self-confidence. We've got the Queen of Wands here, and it's interesting because it's repeated on the right. So this person's done a lot, I think, in terms of working on themselves, I feel not just internally but externally. It may be that they've had to kind of maybe after being a little bit depressed, they had to kind of get back into the gym or go and exercise a little bit because they've put on a little bit of weight after comfort eating, or they may just not have been feeling terribly confident about themselves in terms of their kind of attractiveness. Yes, but definitely they seem to be kind of on the cusp of a glow up, because this for me is kind of immediate future energy. So yes, it's really, really interesting. I think this person, more than anything, is really needs to focus on making themselves a very attractive prospect, to kind of draw people in. And I think they know that, and they are kind of working on that. And I think the results are starting to show, because, as I say, if we move over to the person on the right, we've got the Queen of Wands here, and it's in the position of kind of the bottom line. So I do feel as though this person, even if it is a new connection, and I do feel that it's a new connection, this person, I feel, has had their eye on the person on the left. Possibly they've kind of spotted them on social media, or they've seen them around. Maybe they use the same coffee shop or sandwich shop, something like that, or they've just seen them around kind of their neighborhood. But they definitely think that this person is very attractive. They're quite kind of taken with the person on the left. And I think, they seem to be quite smitten, to be honest. I mean, we've got, in the present position, we've got the King of Cups. So I think this person is quite smitten by the person on the left, and but they haven't revealed their feelings yet. And I think this is what the person on the left is waiting for with this Knight of Swords. The King of Cups very often keeps his feelings to himself. He can be a little bit reluctant to express his feelings, but I do feel that the feelings are quite deep here, especially with the Ace of Cups. So I do think that this person has kind of caught feelings for the person on the left, and they do seem to be on the cusp of making an approach call here. This is, for me, the Knight of Cups. So yes, I do feel as though an approach or a message or some kind of overture is imminent for the person on the left, and this may be what the Venus Jupiter trine is going to kind of activate, if you like. So it could be an important date, actually, when things start to kind of get underway. And it's actually perfect because, as I say, it happens the day before a new moon. And of course, here we've got the sort of the darkness of the new moon. New moons are the kind of the first crescent after the 2 days of the dark moon. So I kind of feel that this is the kind of connecting energy. It's seed energy. It's a new start. That is about to kind of manifest in the 3D. So that's really stunning. Now, in terms of the connecting energy, this seems to be where we get more of an idea of people's sort of hang-ups, or what might be potentially slowing things down a little bit. So for the person on the left, we've got the Nine of Cups in reverse. So as I say, I do really feel as though this person has had a lot of disappointments in their past. We've gone from the 8 to the 9 now. And I think what they're being asked to do is to really kind of buck up a little bit in terms of their overall outlook on life. There's a feeling with the Nine of Cups of often expecting things to turn out well, assuming that, good things are never for me, I'm never lucky, I never sort of win the lottery, a little bit of that kind of energy. So I think that they're really being asked to not only kind of cultivate a glowing exterior and a sense of self-confidence, but also optimism that, they are kind of worthy of love, and to be open to a new start, because, as I say, I do feel like the person on the right is about to make an approach. Now, the person on the right, for them, we've got the Hierophant in reverse, and this is also the Five of Pentacles in reverse. So I feel as though the person on the right has had to kind of overcome a little bit of either fear of commitment with the Hierophant in reverse, or there could be an issue here around slightly different cultures. Maybe these two people are not from the same country or the same religion. But equally it could be that the person on the right has had to overcome some fears around rejection, because for me, you know, the Five of Pentacles is a lot to do about abandonment and sort of feeling left out in the cold. So it's possible that this is why they haven't revealed their feelings yet. But you know, with the Fool in the sort of the immediate past kind of energy, I do feel as though they are ready now to kind of take a risk and a leap of faith, and to sort of to make that approach call. So that's looking really positive. Let's get some more information about sort of you know, where things are likely to go next. So I'm going to use the ordinary Rider-Waite Tarot for that. Whoopsie. Okay, well those two cards obviously wanted to come out, so I'm going to pick one more. Okay, so let's pick one more. And then I'm also going to get some messages from the Hermit Tarot, because yeah, it's always nice to hear what, you know, what each party would kind of say to the other one, if we could kind of read their mind, if we could be a fly on the wall. Quite a big tarot deck, this one, so a little bit difficult to handle, and it's also quite slippery as well, so alright, so let's get a Hermit Tarot card. Well, let's get two for each person, and then we'll get one for the connecting energies. Alright, but let's see first of all kind of where things are going. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so in terms of, I'm reading this as a kind of mini timeline. So, yeah, really interesting. So, yes, I do feel as though in the immediate past, things were a little bit, things slowed down for whatever reason, or had kind of stalled, possibly because one or both parties didn't feel it was the right time, because remember we did have the crocodile on the left here, so it could be that the timing was slightly off, that this person needed to kind of close something out from a sort of a karmic point of view or a psychological point of view, because here we've got the World in the middle, and this for me is usually about closing cycles out. So this is the last kind of tarot trump, so we are talking about endings and beginnings. We've got the kind of Ouroboros kind of emblem here in the middle. It could also be that these two people are separated by distance, or as I said, that they are of slightly different culture. So that could also have been a potential stumbling block that needed to be sort of thought through. But in the immediate future, we've got the Four of Wands. Now, you know, many people see this as the kind of 11-11 card, and certainly it's about stable but passionate kind of connections. For me, it's also about walking through a threshold here. We've almost got a sort of a doorway with this beautiful kind of garland, and these two what look like, you could see them as almost like gates. And so I do feel as though these two people are kind of ready to walk through the door of a new start in love and romance, that could lead to something really quite special. You know, the Four of Wands for me is kind of halfway to marriage kind of card. It's often about kind of moving in together. So as I say, there may be an element here of one or both parties having to relocate to, you know, to kind of be with each other, but certainly a really positive outcome in the immediate future. Now let's have a look and see what they would say to each other. Wow. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, so happiness is my priority. I think it's very similar to the Three of Cups, and I think we can see that actually, with this Eight of Cups in the past. So this person is tired of being disappointed in love. They're kind of ready to to sort of accept something that's more that's worthy of them. Maybe, as I say, that they've had to work quite a lot on their self-esteem, and they now realize that they are actually worthy of kind of love and devotion and commitment. So that's beautiful. And then reach out. This is interesting. So perhaps the person on the left has kind of spied person on the right and is waiting, as I say, for them to make an approach with this Knight of Swords. Because we did see with the crocodile that this person was very patient and that they were not about to kind of come forward, that they wanted the other party to sort of move towards them rather. So that I think is very appropriate actually. So this person really in their divine feminine energy and sort of wanting an approach call from the person on the right. Now let's have a look at the other party. Oh wow, this is amazing, guys. So yes, so this person, yes, clearly very smitten with the person on the left. They just seem to know that this is the person for them, and they don't seem to kind of have any doubts in their mind whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely in love with you. I think really, speaking of both of these cards, the King and the Knight of Cups. And then this beautiful Ace of Cups here. I mean, this is the card of like unconditional love, of fresh starts in love, and of somebody who's very sincere and really wants to make, an offer that is heartfelt. And then I just want you all the time. That's beautiful too. I think it speaks to this, the Queen of Wands. So they definitely find the person on the left extremely attractive. A lot of desire here with the 8. So it's similar to the 8 of Wands. So they definitely are very keen and are kind of champing at the bit to kind of make an approach, which is stunning. Now let's see what... oh, wow. Okay. Well, it seems the feeling is mutual. Need I say more here? So yes, I think this is kind of like Six of Wands sort of energy. Come and win me over. I'm ready to be swept with my feet, kind of thing. Interesting. I need time for me. And as I say, I do feel that this has something to do with fears around abandonment or rejection. So that could be what is holding things up ever so slightly, in terms of these two people kind of coming together. But I don't feel that it's going to be for much longer, given all this positive energy like the Fool and the Ace of Cups and the Knight of Cups. So that's beautiful. Yes, I feel as though, this kind of pause in the activity is probably due to the person on the right needing to kind of summon up the nerve, essentially, to approach the person on the left. But it's imminent with the Four of Wands here. So that's beautiful. And I do feel that it could be, as I say, as a result of a new start. So, for example, that new moon that's coming up, on the 7th of September. Wow. So let's get some advice, just to kind of close out the reading. Yeah, I'm so thrilled. It's really lovely when a message is so kind of clear and straightforward, and it's also so kind of positive, and none of this sort of confused energy that often kind of comes through. So that's so lovely. Really pleased for you guys, whoever you are, pile 1. But I mean, with such lovely astrology around, I'm not surprised really. Yeah, I mean, you don't get better than a Venus-Jupiter trine, it has to be said. Okay, so let's pull one card for each person just as kind of advice. Okay, so, this is, I mean, you can't make this up. So stunning. So I mean, we had this card here, happiness is my priority, and we can see that this person's done a lot of work on kind of coming out of what looks like very difficult, like heartbreak essentially, and sort of a lot of disappointment. So yes, just a wonderful kind of affirmative message that happiness is your birthright, person on the left, and you deserve happiness and you're about to get it. So that is so lovely. Yes. Okay, so obstacles are detours in the right direction. So yes, it could be, as I say, that maybe this person, there was a delay for a reason, with this hangman energy and the world. Maybe the person on the right needed to kind of close out something from a previous relationship or previous situation that they were kind of hanging on to, the residue of some energy from the past where perhaps they were rejected, in the past, and now what they need to be doing is to almost to kind of see that as being, what if things didn't work out in the past, it was simply redirection. It was because they weren't meant to be with that person, they were meant to be with this person. So I think if they did suffer from any kind of rejection in the past, the reason for it is now becoming clear. The hangman can sometimes be about a perspective shift. So seeing that everything has kind of happened for a reason, and that it's all kind of coming good now. So what a lovely reading. I'm really thrilled for you guys, and yeah, do let me know in the comments below what your situation is, if this has kind of resonated for you. And yes, but I'm really, really thrilled, and thanks so much for spending time with me, and hopefully see you again soon. Hi Power One, I realized after I had finished recording the reading that I forgot to pull some letter tiles for you, so I thought I'd do it quickly now. So I'm just going to put my hand in and grab a bunch of tiles, and let's see what we get. So we've got U, we've got Y, we've got X, interesting. So a lot of the end of the alphabet bit here. Q, W, Q again, A, and L. So I hope that those may be significant. Take only what kind of resonates, and if they don't mean anything to you, never mind. It may be that I was meant to forget for a reason, but I couldn't sort of it's not in my innate sense of fairness to sort of deprive one pile when the other two also got their letter tiles. So there you go. Hi everyone, welcome to reading to those of you who picked pile 2. So this was with the beautiful piece of ocean jasper. I don't know if you can see it. It's, as I say, it's one of my favorite pieces. Okay, so we're going to start with your oracle cards, and I've got cards for both parties. So I'm going to put one person here and the other person on the right. And generally speaking, I'm going to read as if you were the person on the left. But if that isn't the case, then please feel free to to kind of swap them around. So this oracle reading will give you an opportunity to see whether you've picked the right pile, because I'm going to kind of use it to tune into the energies of both parties, and a little bit about the personality and where they're kind of at. Yeah, so let's kind of get into that now, and then we'll do the tarot kind of afterwards. So I've done something slightly different. I've used some astrology cards as well, because it helps me to kind of get a sense of where the other person is at, and a little bit more about them, really. Because of course my primary sort of language is astrology. Okay, so I'm going to start with the person on the left, and then we're going to move over to the person on the right. Okay, but let's kind of get into these energies. So we've got a wild unknown animal spirit deck as well, and then of course my oracle of the elements, just to help clarify. Interesting. Okay. Very, very interesting. Right. Okay, let's start here. So we've got, interesting, we've got Virgo in first house. So obviously we're in Virgo season at the moment. It may not be Virgo season when you find this reading, but somehow the sign of Virgo is important. So the person on the left could be a sun sign Virgo or have a Virgo placement that's quite strong, possibly in the first house. So maybe they've got Virgo rising, or they've got a planet in Virgo in the first house. And I also kind of feel as though, with the first house kind of emphasized, and we've got Puella here as well, that somehow physical appearance or the body might somehow be kind of important, on sort of some level. But then we've got the cosmic egg, and I mean the cosmic egg is all about the crown chakra. So this is the sort of the union of Shiva and Shakti, which is very interesting given that we've got this, as I say, this Venus Jupiter trine kind of coming up. So it seems to suggest that union is imminent. But I do feel as though this person on the left has done a lot of work to kind of move themselves forward with Via and Puella. Via for me is all about their kind of life path, and it's also for me about kind of forward movement. So I feel as though they've come a long way in their kind of personal journey, and it's brought them to a place, possibly as a result of some kind of spiritual practice. It's brought them to a place of kind of balance, peace and harmony, and it's actually being reflected, I feel, in their physical appearance. You know how they kind of say, beauty on the inside kind of reflects outward, and I do feel as though this person has reached a particularly kind of beatific moment in their sort of spiritual development, where they really are kind of glowing, they're kind of radiating, and this is going to sort of attract people to them. That's what I kind of feel. But it's almost got a high priestess sort of feel to it here with Virgo and then the cosmic egg. So I do feel as though this person is probably quite psychic and has some kind of healing ability or sort of spiritual gifts with which they've been working to develop. So yes, that may be important or significant in this connection. And then if we look at the person on the right, we've got some really interesting energy here. First of all, we've got two quite sort of interesting and sort of, isn't it interesting that it's quite monochromatic, in terms of the image. That maybe this person is a little bit black and white. Ooh, hell. That's interesting. I wonder what that's sort of supposed to indicate. I noticed that the plant on the left is a little bit spiky, so I'm kind of wondering if the person on the right is also a little bit spiky. And the reason that I say that is because we've got Eris here. Now Eris, in terms of the sort of the dwarf planets, is considered to be the planet of strife and discord, so quite similar in a way to Black Moon Lilith, so slightly unsettled, troublemaking sort of energy, a little bit sort of stressful, and it's reflected in the two geomancy cards as well. We've got Tristia and we've got Rubeus, particularly Rubeus. Rubeus for me can be a little bit spiky. This can be Scorpio when Scorpio is feeling a little bit defensive, especially with Tristia here. Now, very often Tristia is about like tears or sorrow. So I feel like the person on the right has been through quite a difficult time recently. They may have lost somebody close to them, and this is possibly why we've got this indication of sorrow or grief or heartache or depression here, and also perhaps why we've got some residual anger. Rubeus is about passion, but it can sometimes be about anger, and particularly paired with Eris. I kind of feel as though we're talking about somebody who, if you think about the stages of grieving, you kind of, what is it? It's kind of like denial, anger. So I feel as though they might be in the second stage of grief. Whether for a past relationship or for a family member, somebody close to them that they may have kind of lost or ended a relationship with. Somebody that they might still be kind of carrying a torch for, or that they may still harbor a little bit of resentment about. And I think that might need to be cleared in order for things to sort of work smoothly. Now it could be, and I'm wondering about this, is that maybe this person went to the person on the left for some kind of healing, and that's how they met. This could well be the case. That's what I'm feeling quite strongly. So it could be that that's how they initially kind of connected. But with waxing crescent moon, I do feel as though things are kind of on the up for this person. And if we pair it with the owl, I mean, the owl is, I mean, traditionally it's associated with kind of wisdom, but in this particular deck it's also associated with the goddess Lakshmi, and she's kind of the Vedic Venus, if you like. So this is suggesting that, you know, good luck and abundance is imminent, and it may be what Venus and Jupiter are kind of bringing in for this person, and that's why we've got the waxing crescent moon. So as we move into the waxing lunar cycle that begins with that new moon in Virgo, straight after the Venus-Jupiter trine, that things really start to look up for this person on the right. So I think if they have been, as I say, having a difficult time of late, they should not despair, because it looks as though things are definitely about to improve. So that's really quite interesting. I think let's get into the tarot next and see what else we can find out. Get rid of all this dirt. Again, interesting. Might be symbolic. So I'm going to start with my usual illuminated playing cards, and then I'm going to clarify with some tarot, as well as the Hermit Tarot, which is a deck that one of the other readers on YouTube developed, and it gives you some lovely love messages and things. And then I realized I forgot to do the full pile one, but we'll also pull some letter tiles, and we'll get some advice at the end from the Universe Has Your Back Oracle deck. So lots to look forward to, and let's get into your reading. So a slightly different layout to the one I usually do, but I think it's more appropriate. So a kind of mini Celtic cross, and then I'm going to get one card for this person's connecting energy. Now let's do the person on the right with the solar deck. So feel free to kind of swap around if you feel that you don't really identify with the person, you know, on the left, and you know, just take what resonates and kind of read the rest. And if it isn't your pile, then feel free to choose another one. Move it up so you can see it. I don't know why, but my camera seems to bend. It must be like a slightly wide angle lens or something. So what looks straight to me looks skew on the camera. So that's why I'm always sort of fiddling with the cards, which I know is annoying. I can't help it. I would Venus and Virgo. Okay. And then let's get some connecting energy with the Elemental Oracle. I will incidentally link the Hermit Tarot YouTube channel below, so you can go and check out her stuff if you like her deck. Whoopsie. Okay, so we've got some connecting energy now. Let's see. Oh, lovely. So fecundity reminds me of Jupiter. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and I think it's because of, you know, motherhood and the whole idea of Jupiter and expansion. Interesting. So both parties get the same card for the connecting energy. This is so fascinating. It's also really interesting that with this power we've got a true pair. We've got the King and Queen of Pentacles, so that may be important. I think it could be an important soulmate connection, this one. Really, really interesting. Okay, so let's start with the person on the left, and then we'll kind of move over. So interesting because, you know, given the quite high vibrational energy that we saw with the oracle cards for the person on the left, we're getting some quite stressed sort of energy in the reading. So it looks as though this particular person is coming out of what looks like a very stressful time, really. Somehow, you know, we've got the Ten of Wands here, and the Ten of Wands is, although it's the end of a cycle, it's very often also kind of when we're feeling that sense of overwhelm, you know, when we kind of think we can't really kind of cope anymore, and we're kind of about to snap. But luckily, you know, as I said, it's a 10, so it's coming to the end of the cycle, and it is in the past position. So I really feel as though this person has kind of been through it in the not so distant past, and they really are kind of keen to kind of get control of their life again. And the reason that I say that is because we've got two quite masculine energies here. We've got the King of Swords, which is also the Emperor, and then we've got the King of Wands, who doubles up as the Magician. So very, very powerful masculine energy here on the left. So I kind of feel as though they've come out of some very shady situation, possibly, where things really didn't kind of work out well with I feel another person. I don't feel it's the person on the left, because of, I mean on the right, because of the cards that we're kind of getting, where things didn't kind of pan out. This is the Two of Cups and Temperance in reverse. So they've come out of a relationship where they feel that the other party was selfish or dishonest, with the Five of Swords. This is very much about resistance energy. You can see from the image that they felt as though the other party held all the cards. So they didn't feel in control of the situation, and maybe they felt that the other person lied to them or was dishonest in some way. And this left them very stressed. I think it really kind of devastated them. And so that explains why they are kind of keen to move forward into something where they feel more empowered and more kind of in control. You know, the Magician is all about kind of manifesting and mastering the four elements. The King of Wands is about taking action, about being quite entrepreneurial. And the Emperor, of course, is all about control and self-discipline and kind of leveling up. While the King of Swords tends to be about being more logical and seeing more clearly. So having perhaps developed more discernment, so that they don't necessarily choose to be with people that maybe, you know, are kind of dishonest on some level. And I also feel that whatever the situation was in the past really kind of damaged their self-esteem, particularly around their appearance, and that may be why we had, you know, the Virgo, the sort of first house coming up so strongly for them, you know, in terms of those initial oracle cards. So yes, this person seems determined to kind of, you know, move forward and move upwards and onwards, and to sort of leave behind, you know, this kind of difficult time. Yeah, quite interesting. I just want to be reminded about, yes, so they had the crown chakra and Puella. Yes, so yes, definitely wanting to move towards more harmony, more peace, and a lot more kind of balance in their life. Interesting. So let's move over to the person on the right. Much more positive energy here, which is interesting because, you know, that in terms of the oracle cards, it was almost the reverse. So it could be with this particular pile that appearances are deceptive, that one person seems more together than the other one, but actually, you know, that there's a lot going on below the surface. That's I think potentially the way to kind of read things. So the person who seems the most together is probably the least together. Yeah, interesting. But now with the person on the right, I really feel as though this person is much more settled. So it might just be that they've been, as I say, that they've recently lost a relative or somebody close to them, and that's what had them in that very difficult Rubeus and Tristia kind of energy. So, but ordinarily speaking, in terms of their personality, I feel that they are quite grounded here with the King of Pentacles in their sort of immediate past position. This is somebody who kind of has basically their shit together in terms of their career, that they are quite successful, and that they're a go-getter as well. You know, we've got this. Isn't it interesting that we've got this mirroring happening in terms of the King of Wands and the Magician? So it could also be that that this person realizes that they don't want somebody who's very controlling, like whoever this previous person was. They want someone who's a go-getter, but somebody who's a little bit more either spiritual or kind of passionate, and really kind of fancies them and is prepared to sort of put in the work. It could be that, you know, whoever they were with in the past was a little bit cold and withholding. Yes, but so interesting that this is the kind of the potential here. So that this person does seem to be exactly what the person on the left is looking for. Somebody who, you know, isn't afraid to sort of take the initiative to sort of make overtures, to ask someone out on a date if they find someone attractive, and someone who I feel, as I say, is a go-getter in terms of their career. They certainly are not shy about kind of you know, starting up a new business or trying something different, or kind of really giving something a good crack. And then it's interesting, we've got the Knight of Swords here in the sort of in the middle. So I kind of feel as though this person is quite drawn to the person on the left, and is quite keen to sort of make an overture quite quickly. You know, the Knight of Swords moves very, very swiftly, and you pair that with the King of Wands, and we are talking about somebody who is very attracted to the person on the left, and who wants to sort of you know, make a move. It's almost kind of knee-jerk. They don't really want to kind of hesitate, and maybe they think that the other person will be snapped up quite quickly. They don't, but they definitely see some kind of future with the person on the left. This is the Four of Wands, and this is all about kind of settled but passionate, you know, energy. You can see that it's mutual. Both parties kind of mirroring each other here, and it's also very abundant and fertile. This is kind of a time of harvest, of celebration, often of marriage. This card can be a card of marriage, or of kind of moving in together, that kind of thing. So they are really keen to find a partnership where amongst equals, where you know, things can develop in a positive and sort of stable way, but that's also going to be exciting and fulfilling as well, you know, not just sort of very boring. And the bottom line is that they do see the person on the left as a good fit for them. You know, as I said, we've got a true pair here. So I think that they see that the person on the left really has learned to value their own worth. They see them as quite golden, very generous and warm, possibly also quite healthy. You know, I do feel that this person on some level is involved either in kind of health or well-being or healing on some level, maybe yoga. I'm getting a strong yoga vibe from this person. So yes, I think, you know, it's fair to say that person on the right is champing at the bit really to sort of move towards the person on the left. Now what's so interesting is that, as I say, they have the same connecting energy. The Four of Swords in reverse, and this is also Death in reverse. So I'm a little bit sort of stymied by this, to be honest. I mean, the Four of Swords, when it's in the upright, is about kind of rest and recuperation and sort of licking your wounds or going on some kind of spiritual retreat. But when it's in reverse, I think what it's kind of saying is that maybe both people feel ready to come out of a period of reclusiveness, you know, kind of come out of hermit mode, if you like. The person on the right possibly, as I say, after losing a relative or experiencing some form of loss due to death, and then the person on the left because of their previous situation, which they are kind of moving away from. But with death in reverse, there's sometimes a fear of change. You know, so maybe, you know, whatever this particular, you know, I mean, when you're kind of moving towards a new connection, and I do feel that this is a new connection, obviously it brings up all sorts of fear around change, and it could be that maybe that's why both parties are, you know, a tiny bit hesitant, you know, because they feel a little bit once bitten, twice shy, or just, you know, they've come out of a period that's been quite difficult, so it may be, you know, challenging to kind of uncurl. It might take them like a hot minute to do that. But let's see what they would kind of say to each other with the Hermit Tarot. Get some messages. And also I'm going to get some tarot cards to see where things are likely to go next, you know, for this connection in the immediate future. This is such a big deck. I find it quite difficult to shuffle. It's also very slippery. So it makes the deck hard to handle. Okay, so 2 cards for the person on the left, 1, oh hang on, I tend to do it like that, yeah, and then 1 for this sort of connecting energy, and then I'm going to get 3 cards for kind of immediate timeline to see where this connection is going in the immediate future. Alright, so 3 cards. Alright, so let's see what this person would say to the person on... Oh, interesting. So, I'm too afraid to talk and you are so very special. So, this, I do feel like these 2 people know each other, but I don't think that they've actually been in some kind of romantic context yet. So I do feel like maybe the person on the right went to the person on the left for, say, yoga classes or some kind of healing, or maybe a reading, and took an immediate shine to this person. But clearly the feeling is mutual, because we've got you are so very special. So seeing, you know, how kind of vibrant this person on the right is ordinarily, but they're too afraid to talk. So there's a little bit of shyness here, and I do feel as though it's reluctance, you know, as a result of their past experience. So that's very interesting. Let's see what the other person would say. Ooh, okay. Well, that's a bit of a spanner in the works. So I'm a very jealous person, which I think fits with that earlier card that we had of Rubaeus, and I'm sorry. So maybe these 2 had a kind of a false start, and yes, I mean, it's possible that you know, that this ordeal that the person on the left had was a result of this other party. Yeah, kind of strange. I'm a little bit thrown by that, to be honest. It's not really what I was expecting. But let's have a look at the the tarot and see what we can discern from that. Oh wow, okay, right. Yes, so I don't think that we should sort of take this as kind of too much of a deterrent. It could just be that they are quite sort of passionate, and that they can be a little bit possessive. It's their sort of insecurity, and that's why they're apologizing. That they know that maybe that's why they want to move in quickly, because they do feel like this person's going to get taken or snapped up. They see them as very, very attractive. But I think if they can rein in this tendency, which can be a little bit controlling otherwise, I think that would, really, really help to move the connection forward. Now, in terms of the timeline, we've got the Nine of Wands in reverse, the Page of Pentacles, and the Ten of Cups. That's beautiful. So we're moving out of this quite defensive energy that we're seeing here with the two Death in reverse cards, where both parties are afraid of change, and are kind of, I think they both realize that they need to move forward. They need to sort of get over themselves, and to sort of get over the past if they are to sort of find happiness, because the Nine of Wands is in reverse. You can see when it's upright, it does tend to be this sort of wounded warrior who's got a little bit of a barrier up, and who is very much once bitten, kind of twice shy. But in the reverse, they seem to be prepared to sort of drop their guard a little bit in order to entertain the connection. And this certainly seems to be the case. We've got the Page of Pentacles here, which is all about sowing seeds for kind of a new harvest, if you like. So definitely, I think the person on the right is keen to make it some kind of approach, to make a little offer, maybe send the person on the left a gift to show that they find them, very attractive and they appreciate them. But this seems to have legs. I mean, we've got the Ten of Cups here. So in terms of the immediate future, it does look as though this connection does have the potential to make both parties extremely happy. This is the card of marriage, of fulfillment. You can see the sort of the rainbow on it, and you kind of got happy families sort of going on here. So for me, it's reflecting quite strongly this Four of Wands card, which, as I say, can be a marriage card as well. So yes, as I say, I think the person on the right definitely sees the potential here, definitely sees that these two, that this person on the left is a soulmate, that they feel that this person is the one. So I think even though they are kind of champing at the bit to move in, maybe they realize that they've got to kind of cool their jets so that they don't kind of get off on the wrong footing or scare the other person off, especially given that they've had a difficult time of late. But that does bode very well, I have to say, and I think it's maybe why we've got the connecting energy as fecundity. So I feel that this is saying that the situation is pregnant with potential, and that the potential is the Ten of Cups. I mean, you don't get kind of better than that, really. So yes, I think my kind of instinct as a reader would be to say just go slowly, and that may be why we've got the Four of Swords and Death in reverse. That these two people also realize that they need to kind of take things slowly and sort of build up trust and kind of over time. So let's see what they would say to each other. Do you think about me? Yes. So I think fitting with a slightly shyer kind of energy. Oh, okay. So I think this pertains to the sort of tristia that we saw kind of earlier. I do feel as though this person has lost, as I said, a relative or someone close to them. I don't feel it's a romantic partner. I mean, it could be, but generally I don't see that in the cards. So I feel as though they've suffered a loss, possibly a relative who's passed away, and that's why they're kind of in pain. But clearly this person would like some sort of message or gift. So I think a little gesture certainly wouldn't go amiss. Nothing too kind of full on. We don't want to sort of go charging in and get too possessive too quickly. Yes, but yes, interesting stuff. So let's get some advice for this particular couple. I'm going to get one card for each person, just in terms of advice moving forward, or how to move the connection forward, or what they need to work on, that kind of thing. Alright, that's a bit too many. And I'm not going to forget to pull some letter tiles. I was so excited by the first reading that I completely forgot because it was just such a good reading. Okay, so one card each. And let's pull the letter tiles now while we remember. So let's get a handful and see what we get. Alright, so we've got, where can I put these? So we've got I, E, F, K, A, M, C, U, gosh, a lot of vowels here, M, T, and L. So 2 M's, and then it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, okay, let's see advice. Okay, so instead of praying for an outcome, I pray for the highest good for all. That's interesting advice, actually. So, yeah, I think this person kind of realizes that potentially the person on the right still needs a little bit of healing, and that may be why they are a little bit shy in kind of coming forward, and maybe also realizing that they still have a little way to go themselves. So instead of kind of insisting on a particular outcome or trying to force things, they realize that instead of praying for an outcome, that they just pray for the highest good of all, and if it's meant to be, it will be, which is nice. I choose to learn through love. Yes, I think that's very appropriate given that we've got this jealousy here. I think this person maybe does have to work a little bit on insecurities, and that may be why we've got I'm in so much pain. But they can still, we don't learn all lessons on our own. Sometimes we learn through other people, so somehow kind of learning to transmute that somewhat jealous Scorpio energy into something a bit more kind of positive. But yes, I mean, I do think, with this 10 of cups as the outcome, and fecundity as well, that there's a lot of potential here. So I just think that both parties need to keep working on themselves and staying open to the possibility of a connection, kind of sowing those seeds, maybe going slowly here with these two deaths in reverse, and maybe starting off as friends and then sort of letting things sort of develop from there. But beautiful reading, pile 2. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do let me know in the comments if it's resonated, and I look forward to seeing you on the channel again very soon. Hello pile 3, and welcome to your reading. You are the pile that picked the blood fancy stone. So apparently this is a mixture. It's a raw blood fancy stone, and it's a mixture of jasper and agate that's kind of shot through with bits of iron. So an interesting mixture of kind of Venus and Mars energy there. But anyway, we're going to start with your oracle cards, and this will give you a chance to see whether this reading is really the right one for you. I'm going to tune into the energies of both parties, and then we're going to move on to the tarot, and then finally I'm going to get some advice as well as some messages from the Hermit Tarot. And then we're going to pull some name tiles just to sort of finish off the reading. So let's get things underway. So we've got, I'm very excited that I've got the Wild Unknown Animal deck. I've been eyeing it for some time, and I think it's a really nice way to sort of tune into particular energies of people. And then of course I've got my own Oracle of the Elements that I'm using. Just to give you some more information, as well as cards from the Arcana of Astrology, which, as an astrologer, it's always good to get some kind of indication of, where this person's kind of coming from. But anyway, let's start with the person on the left. Okay, interesting. So we've got the snake here, which is a lot about untapped potential. Interesting. Venus showing up in the reading, which is interesting given that this is, I'm doing this reading to partly because of the Venus Jupiter trine that's going to be coming up very soon at the beginning of September. And excuse me for fiddling with these cards all the time, but my camera lens makes it look as if the cards are skew. It's all very strange. I think it must be a fisheye lens of some kind. But anyway, let's kind of get into their energy. So we've got the Lamb, which is a lot about patience and prophecy. So this person could be psychic or clairvoyant, maybe an HSP. Libra and Eros. Wow. So isn't this interesting, given that we've got the blood fancy stone, which I say was a mixture of Venus and Mars, and here we've got Eros, which is the asteroid that is considered to be the mixture between kind of Venus and Mars. So very, very interesting. And Libra turning up as well. So, you know, one of the signs that Venus rules. So this is a very Venusian pile, I feel. So we'll kind of get into that in a minute. Okay, so let's start with the person on the left. So as I say, we've got this interesting energy of the snake, and of course, you know, particularly in the sort of yogic tradition, the snake is associated with Kundalini Shakti, which is supposed to sit in the root chakra, sometimes in the sacral chakra, depending on which tradition you follow. But it's essentially, in this image, it's surrounding the flower of life. So there's a lot of, in this particular deck, about the snake and untapped potential, and there's a sense of urgency often when you get this card that one needs to kind of seize the day. So it could be that timing or kind of action or initiative is required in order to make this connection kind of come together. Now, clarifying this are Laetitia and Albus. So interesting energy. So we've got Jupiter appearing quite strongly as well, actually, in this reading. Jupiter and Pisces. So this is really interesting. Very positive water energy. Laetitia is all about kind of expansion in the emotional body. So it's all about happiness, optimism, joy, and, you know, expecting good things, fulfillment, etc. You know, similar to the Ten of Cups in the Tarot. And then we've got Albus. So this is Mercury in Gemini energy, and this is about purity. It's associated with the color white, and it can be about new starts. Sometimes for me it's about a blank sheet of paper, especially with this sort of Mercury-Gemini connection. So it could be that somehow paper is important to this connection, writing, communication, or it could simply be, as I say, that this person is ready for a new start and they sort of feel as though the time is now, kind of thing. And then we've got Venus in the 4th house. So possibly this person has an important or a prominent 4th house. So family may be important, relocation, where they live, maybe they're a little bit of a homebody. And with Venus, we are talking about pleasure, about love, about sensuality, and sometimes about the arts. So I kind of get the vibe that this person is quite creative on some level, whether it's in the way that they decorate their home or cook, or whether it has something to do with an artistic pursuit like writing, as I say. So that's pretty interesting energy. And this is of course, we've got, in terms of elements, we've got water, earth, and we've got air. So quite a mixture, actually. Now, for the person on the right, it's interesting. We've got 2 earth and we've got water. So this is a lot more feminine sort of energy, whereas here we've got a little bit of masculine energy in the form of Albus and the air element. And they're represented by the Lamb. Now the Lamb in this particular deck is, as I say, it's about patience and prophecy. So it's about somebody who's quite kind of mild, but who is often very gifted. They're kind of able to tell people home truths in a very compassionate and loving way. And very often they bring a message. So it's similar to the kind of idea of the Messiah. They bring a message for the people that they meet on some level. And that isn't always necessarily an actual sort of message. It could simply be an exchange of energy, you know, that this person may be some kind of healer. But interestingly, we have a kind of mirroring energy here with Laetitia, excuse me. So 2 people who are seeking happiness, or who are in a place where they feel very kind of happy and at peace. But then we've got Count Draconis. Now, for me, when as a reader, I associate Counter-Draconis, the tail of the dragon, with the end of cycles. And in terms of the astrology that I do, which is very moon-based, I tend to see it as being either a full moon or a lunar eclipse. So I feel as though the person on the right is closing out a cycle of some kind. It may have something to do with love, given how strongly Libra and Eros are kind of indicated here. So Eros is an asteroid that's associated with kind of passion and desire. You know, most people know the story of Eros and Psyche. It's very kind of entangled with the alchemical kind of metaphor. So it's about pursuing your passions. It's about following what you desire. It can also be about attraction, depending on whether you're kind of on the masculine or the feminine end of the scale. And with Libra here, you know, we could be talking about well, I mean, it could kind of go either way, because, you know, the sign of Libra itself is masculine because it's an air sign, but at the same time Venus rules Libra, and Venus is of course very feminine. So I feel as though this person has very balanced energy in that sense, that they've got very balanced masculine and feminine kind of sides to them, and that somehow this may be important, given that we've got this kind of untapped potential here, possibly a Kundalini awakening of some kind going on with the person on the left, that this person may be kind of coming into their life in order to sort of activate them, or get some process going that's going to lead to awakening, or to sort of accelerated growth. That's how I kind of feel. But there's definitely a lot here about love and about romance and about happiness. So I do feel as though however these people connect, that they are very much connected in the heart center, or that they will be, and they have a lot to teach each other. That's what I feel. Particularly, I feel that the person on the left has a lot to learn from the person on the right. So I think that gives us a little bit of a sense of what's kind of going on here. But let's get into the tarot cards and see what kind of wants to come through. Oh, the other thing I should probably say as well is that this person may also be Year of the Snake in the sort of Chinese horoscope. So that's also just something to, you know, to sort of bear in mind. And this person might have, the Lamb person might have Aries placements. So yeah. Okay, so let's get going with the Illuminated playing cards. So we're going to have the Lunar deck for the left, and we're going to have the Solar deck for the right. And then, as I say, we're going to get into all sorts of things: name tiles, Rider-Waite decks, Hermit tarot, etc., etc. So lots and lots of information to look forward to. Jam-packed, especially for the Venus Jupiter sextile. Whoops, jumping cards. Oopsie. I'm also going to do a slightly different sort of reading layout to the one that I normally do. I just felt that wasn't really appropriate for the readings, and the other one that I do, which is kind of a mini Celtic cross, I think works a little bit better. So let's find out what's going on. And then one for the connecting energy. I'm going to do the same on the right. As I say, I do apologize if the cards look a little bit skewed, but I think it must be the angle of my camera. In fact, I'm going to just see if I can straighten it out a little bit. That's a bit better. Okay. Oopsie. So very auspicious energy that we're moving into with this Venus-Jupiter trine, and I think because it occurs so close to the full moon, I mean the new moon, it should kind of continue for the next 2 weeks or so, even though Venus is going to change signs on the 6th. little bit irritating, I know, and I do apologise. But it's, I mean, the cards look so skewed to me, it's unbelievable. It's very, very strange, I must say. I don't think my camera used to be like this. I don't recall it being so skewed, so I don't know whether I've just set it up a little bit weirdly or what. But my Venus in Virgo just won't let me leave it alone, so I do apologise if it's annoying. Okay, and then one for the connecting energy as well. And then let's get an elemental oracle, also just to give us a sense of the connecting energy. And then we will look at kind of future energies with the Rider-Waite deck. But this just allows me to get a sense of where each person is in relation to the connection. Okay, interesting, life or breath. This actually came up at the Aquarius full moon, the reading that I did. There was a lot in there about pneuma and breath in the lungs, particularly around the image of the winged heart. So that might be important. You might want to go and watch that that forecast in case there's a message in there for you. But let's start with the person on the left. Interesting. I've noticed in all the readings that there's a lot of kind of mirroring happening between the different people, the kind of partners. So that seems to be a kind of general message for the collective, which is interesting. Now look at how skew those look. I mean, I give up. I honestly do. This is just so strange. As I say, I do apologise, but I don't know what has happened to my camera. Okay, so let's start with the person on the left. Yeah, interesting. So notice that we've got the sun in both the past positions for each person. This is also the Nine of Wands, though, and because in the playing card system the cards sort of double up. So I kind of feel as though with two nines on either side of the Ace of Swords, that the person on the left has come out of a period in which they felt quite defensive, like they had to really kind of stick up for themselves, that they couldn't let their guard down. But now, you know, as we sort of move across the timeline, we see this person dropping the Nine of Swords, so dropping any kind of anxiety or kind of worry or catastrophe thinking that might have been kind of keeping them stuck, and it's because they are seeing something clearly for the first time. There's a lot here about clarity and precision, you know, with the Ace of Swords. So it may be that they've had some kind of realization, or they have discovered something. Maybe there's been a piece of news that has sort of made them see things in a new light. But definitely, I feel that at the root of the situation, this person either got burned by somebody younger than them, possibly with the Knight of... this is the Knight of Diamonds, so it's the Knight of Pentacles. That perhaps somebody was slow or in coming forward in the past, and that this led to quite a lot of like anguish, mental anguish, or that there was a lack of self-confidence here, because for me the Knight of Pentacles is the least confident of the knights. Even though they are very sincere, they often doubt themselves, and that's what makes them hesitate and kind of take so long about kind of coming forward. And it may be that that this is something to do with the untapped potential that we saw with the snake, you know, when we looked at the oracle cards, was that on some level, you know, possibly in terms of the situation, it could be that these two people had a lot of feeling or desire or attraction for each other, but nothing ever happened. You know, maybe they kind of remained friends, or they just you know, they worked together or something like that, and it never developed into anything kind of further. But what's interesting is that in the sort of immediate future, the kind of potential energy, we've got the Queen of Wands. Now she's very, very confident. She knows what she wants, and she's also very attractive. So it could be that this may be what intimidated the Knight of Pentacles, or that as a result of kind of like an aha moment, this person decided that they were tired of not feeling very confident, and so they've done a lot to kind of cultivate their self-confidence, to build up their solar plexus energy, or to kind of work on having a bit of a glow up or some kind of like makeover. But they seem to be moving towards a position where they are feeling a lot more confident about themselves, about their attractiveness, and so on. And that may be why we had those cards coming out around Venus, and particularly the Venus in the 4th house. So it could be that the person on the left is a little bit shy, and so the Knight of Pentacles could actually represent them. But equally, it could be the person on the right. And the reason that I say that is because, first of all, we've got this mirroring energy with the 9 of Wands. So this person also kind of coming out of feeling a little bit wary, shall we say, once bitten, twice shy, or just somehow reluctant to sort of move forward, or to sort of put the work in. There seems to be a bit of ambivalence, in fact, with this person on the right, because we've got the Knight of Wands here. Now, the Knight of Wands can be in-out energy. It's often the traveler or the explorer, but this is with the fire kind of element strong here. This is often not somebody who likes to settle down. Now, what's so interesting is that if we consider the oracle cards that we had for this person, they didn't display this really at all in terms of their kind of energy. I'm just trying to find the cards quickly. So we had the Lamb, and then we had Eros, and we had Libra, and we had Laetitia and Count Draconis. So I think maybe what we're sort of seeing here is a little bit of the Eros energy, which is a mixture of Venus and Mars. That perhaps this person is enjoying being single, and maybe in two minds about whether they are kind of ready to kind of give that life up. Maybe they've been enjoying kind of traveling unencumbered, and sort of doing things without having to consult, somebody else, pursuing their passions, sort of without having to, consider, the feelings or the wishes of somebody else. And we've also got the 8 of Pentacles in reverse. So that's also quite interesting, because the 8 of Pentacles, when it's upright, is about kind of mastery and about taking your craft, kind of perfecting your craft, or being prepared to do what it takes to kind of make something work. And I feel as though on some level this person seems to value their own kind of priorities, or their freedom, maybe over and above connections. But we with the Queen of Pentacles in the sort of immediate future position, along with potential here, it's interesting because there is definitely love here with the Queen of Cups. There's an intuitive connection, I feel, between these two people. It could be a same-sex connection, because we've got sort of two queens here. But I do feel as though this person is trying to be very pragmatic. I do feel strongly that these two people may be friends. I don't feel as though they've been in a romantic relationship yet. And it may be that this person is in two minds about whether or not to take things to kind of change the status of the relationship, possibly because they're a little bit unsure about whether they want to be in a kind of long-term relationship or not. So they don't want to hurt the other party. But they do value the person on the left here with the Queen of Pentacles. This is somebody who's really warm, who's very reliable, who is very nurturing and caring, and very often very attached to the earth. So there could be an earth sign, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. But as I say, with the Knight of Wands at the bottom of the reading, I think that the crux of the matter is about this person making a decision about what they want, and then sort of being prepared to put the work in. Yeah, interesting. But if we look at the connecting energy, and it's also interesting if you think about breath. Breath is kind of in, out, inhale, exhale, which is similar to this kind of in, out as well. So that might be significant. But in terms of the connecting energies, we've got the 5 of Swords for the person on the left, and we've got the 3 of Wands for the person on the right. So it seems to me as though on some level this person knows that the person on the right is not 100% kind of in it at the moment, because the 5 of Swords is about resistance and sometimes about dishonesty on some level, or somebody being selfish. And I kind of feel as though this person knows that relationships may not be the first priority of the person on the right, even though they might have a lot of affection for this person, and they might have their doubts about whether commitment is really sort of whether the relationship's got legs for that reason. However, the person on the right does seem to have high hope for the future with regards to this person. So it may be a timing issue. It may be that they feel that they want to kind of go out and do their thing and kind of get that explorer urge out of their system before they kind of settle down, and maybe they do see the potential with the person on the left, but maybe they feel that the timing is not quite right. And that might be the message that they need to sort of give that person, when we saw the Lamb kind of card there. But let's find out some more with the Hermit Tarot. We'll get some messages from each party to the other. So this deck has been created by another YouTube reader who's known as the sort of the Hermit Tarot. So I will link to their channel below, so that you can find them if you're interested in the cards or you just want to check them out. But I quite like it because it's got kind of printed messages on it, so it's nice for doing love readings. Actually, it's quite fun. Kind of channeled messages, if you like. But it is quite a big deck, so not always easy to handle, I have to say. Alright, so we're going to get 1, 2, and then 1 for the connecting energies. And then I'm also going to get 3 cards from the Rider-Waite deck to see where things are going in the immediate future with this connection. And don't let me forget to put some name tiles. I completely forgot to pull them for the first group. I got so carried away. Oh dear. And then we'll finish off with some advice cards. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Right, so let's see what the person on the left would say. I meant what I said. So interesting that it's a number 5. And I dream about you a lot. So that could be why we've got the 9 of Swords in reverse. You can see somebody lying awake at night with the moon in the background. So with the card in reverse, they don't lie awake, they sleep, but they may be getting dreams and things through, possibly connecting in the astral dimension or the 5D. So I meant what I said. So these people seem to have had some kind of discussion, and that may be what the Ace of Swords represents here, because it can be about truthful communication, kind of clarity, being candid. So it may be that these two people have, had a kind of initial discussion and said, well, I fancy you, you do fancy me. How about it? What do you think? And maybe this person did sort of put the brakes on and say, I don't know if I'm ready. And maybe this person said, well, I'm willing to sort of wait for you, kind of thing. And maybe that's why we've got the Knight of Pentacles here. Right. Interesting. Yes. So this is what I feel very strongly. So 2 twos here, that could be significant. But yes, I still don't have all the answers, and this is what I feel with the Knight of Wands. They're not 100% sure yet what to do for the best. A little bit kind of ambivalent. And my life started when I met you, but they do know that the connection is significant. So they're in 2 minds, really. They feel a little bit torn. They're not really sure, because they do see a future. This is why I think we've got the 3 of Wands here. My life started when I met you, but at the same time, I think they're wondering whether the timing is off. So let's look at the 3 cards. Oh my God, this is incredible. You guys. So, wow. Okay. So we've got the Lovers followed by the King of Swords followed by the 10 of Cups. So I read this as a mini timeline. So with the Lovers here, we've got a very, very significant connection. 2 people that know on some level that they have a very strong soul tie to each other. And that the connection is in some way divinely ordained. You can see, there's an angel kind of bringing the 2 lovers, together. However, they're trying to be quite sensible about the whole thing with the King of Swords. So they're trying to be quite logical and sort of and grown up, quite sort of adult about how they approach this, because they both see the potential for long-term happiness together. But as I said, it may be that the timing is slightly off, and so this may be what the discussion was about. And this person, I meant what I said, sincerity, because the King of Swords is the master of communication and of kind of logical thinking, of being sensible. So I do feel as though these 2 people are trying to be, they're trying to adult and come to a decision that's going to be for the highest good of all. But long term, this definitely looks like it's got legs. So as I said, maybe that this connection does eventually lead to a higher level commitment, but it may be that the timing is a little bit off at the moment. So things might just need to they maybe need to hit the pause button. But anyway, let's see what these messages say. I want a fresh start with you. Interesting. Will you choose me? So that's interesting, actually. So I meant what I said. I want a fresh start with you, and I still don't have all the answers, but will you choose me? So I suppose that's kind of typical of how we feel. Even though we may not want to sort of commit, we still want to know that the other person would choose us. Isn't it interesting? So yes, it's possible with the 5 of Swords here that there was some kind of disagreement, or a kind of difference in maybe there was a false start, and this person ultimately would like they would like a fresh start, but maybe they also realize that this won't necessarily be immediate. And then on the other hand, we've got the person on the right knowing that there's a future here with the 10 of Cups and the 3 of Wands. So seeing a future with this person, but not really knowing whether they are willing to, whether this person is willing to compromise and kind of either let them kind of go off and do their thing and wait for them, or maybe have a slightly more casual kind of connection until such time as they feel ready to commit, to sort of put the work in. So yes, slightly kind of, you kind of get the feeling that this person needs to really make up their mind. And it could be as well with the King of Swords that this person is about to lay down the law, because this is the present position with the Ace of Swords. So it may be cutting through the BS and kind of issuing an ultimatum and saying, listen, I meant what I said, I want a fresh start with you, but, you've got to kind of come to the party, essentially. And then this person having to sort of make up their mind. Let's get some letter tiles first before we get some advice. Right, so we've got an H, we've got an E, we've got an R, another R, A, B, Q, A, E, interesting. We've got a lot of sort of ABC. So he, I mean, I'm seeing these words as well. He, Abe. Yeah, interesting. And I also saw her. So, you know, I don't know whether someone calls, whether that's important, whether pronouns are important, or whether there's sort of her, Madge, or I don't know, something there. But anyway, we've done the letter tiles. Now let's get some advice. So I'll pull one card for each person, just to finish off the reading. Whoopsie. So that wanted to come out. Okay. But it's so interesting. I mean, two sets of readings have ended with the Ten of Cups, so a lot of sacred unions I feel kind of happening right now. And I think it started with that Jupiter, I mean that Venus-Mars conjunction that we had after the full moon in Cancer, which was all about sacred union. And now we've got Venus moving from Mars to Jupiter, so that can be about auspicious kind of pairs, or, you know, connections, that kind of thing. Happy marriage. But nice to see after, you know, all the kind of the challenges of 2020, that's for sure. Alright, so let's start with the person on the left. So obstacles or detours in the right direction. Okay, fine. So I think they're kind of saying to this party that even though they may want to sort of issue an ultimatum, that it might end up being counterproductive, it might end up backfiring. So I think they should sort of see that if there are any kind of delays, that these are fortunate delays. So it may be important that the person on the right kind of goes off and does their thing, sows their wild oats, and kind of gets that need to explore out of their system, because when they come back they will then be ready for you know, full-blown commitment, and that certainly looks as though that is on the card. So I think possibly asking, you know, both parties to be quite logical about, you know, how they go about things, put their emotions to one side, and sort of try and do what's best for both parties for the moment, knowing that, you know, by delaying gratification, that the things will ultimately work out well for both. There is a stream of love supporting my dreams. Yes, beautiful. So I do feel as though this person's got things to do, you know, and it may have something to do with developing some kind of healing or clairvoyant ability. I feel with that lamb that we had at the beginning of the reading, it may be that they need to sort of go off and meet a certain teacher, or be in a certain place that kind of awakens them, and that may be why there's a need for a delay kind of in the short term. But certainly with the Lovers and the Ten of Cups, you know, it does look to me as though ultimately these two people will come together and it will be a very successful union. It just might not be right now. So I think if people are willing to sort of delay gratification, and that things will ultimately work out for the best for both, and that they will eventually come back together. It just seems as though this person's got some discovering or some work to do, or some growing to do. So interesting stuff, guys. I hope that was helpful and illuminating, and that you enjoyed these readings. Always interested to hear your feedback in the comments. If you've enjoyed this, please consider hitting the like button. It really helps with the algorithms. But I'm wishing you a fantastic Venus-Jupiter trine and September new moon, and I hope to see you again on the channel really soon.